Good evening, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen around the world. Once again, time for WADcast episode number 47. 47. That's a long ways to go. I am Josh, one of your hosts. Joined with me, as always, I think, by the incomparable, the uncomparable, the...
Okay, I'm here.
Well, I probably should have unmuted my mic. Welcome to the show. If you're watching Facebook, Wise, you did hear my splendid introduction. But for all of you podcast listeners, hey, it's episode number 47 of the Red Actors Directors Podcast. I'm Josh, that guy over there that decided to wait until 10:01 to hop on the mic. Brandon.
Listen, man, I'm not an overachiever, okay? I'm late to work. I was always late to school. And I think this is the first time I've actually been late to chime into the podcast, as I was out back after I logged in and didn't bring anything with me to, gauge time or anything. So, but I got here just in time at 7 o'clock. But either way, happy Friday. Happy Friday to everybody listening. And I would love to interact with people. Thank God we can see the comments on our website here, because I am currently in Facebook jail for 30 days. So,
yeah, you're a bad boy.
Yep, I'm in Facebook jail. Our colleague Mark, helping us with our current project, is in Facebook jail for 30 days, and Danielle is in Facebook jail right now too. So, I don't know why Danielle is, but me and Mark, we're repeat offenders on Facebook, apparently. So, yeah, Mom, again.
A Facebook crime syndicate going there.
I'm telling you, it's just meme related. It's not like any major offense. It's just over memes. That's all it is. So, and I think I'm in Facebook right now because Facebook flagged a meme from 10 years ago. And I was like, oh, this is not permitted. Back to jail. I'm like, whoa.
That sounds about right for the criminal justice system in this country. But this is not that podcast. By the way, just to show my street cred, I guess, I got warned recently. There was a post in our movie group that we're both part of.
Yeah.
And I believe it was something about sports movies. Sound off your favorite sports movie. What was that?
Sorry. I'm listening. Sound off about your favorite sports movie.
And someone, posted about basketball. And I'm a big basketball fan, and I saw that movie 8 times in the theater. I don't remember what movie I bought a ticket for instead, since I was not 17 at the time, but, you do what you do to get by. And the only thing I posted was underneath it, underneath the baseball post was, "Wake up, bitch, you're my best friend." A line from the movie.
Yeah.
And Facebook was like, "You're being mean to that person." Like, Raymer was being mean to Squeak in the movie, and that's the point of the line. But I was using it as a term of endearment for someone that loves said movie, just like me. And I'm sure they got it. Otherwise, why would they list that movie? I mean, seriously, it's a great line. It's a funny movie.
Oh my God!
So I got warned. I challenged the warning too. I was like, no, it's fine. No, you got to look at it in context. And they're like, we looked at it again, and you're still being a jerk. It's like, who can I talk to put these things in context?
Well, it's like you can do a report. You can actually file a grievance against it and everything else. And what cracks me up is I have a backup profile that last time I was in Facebook jail, I was still able to use the other profile. They're not linked. They're two separate profiles. I don't have them both in my phone. But I log into the other profile, and I go to comment something, and I'm trying to play coy here, right? I try to comment something. It's like, oh, you are, you're banned from posting or reacting or anything for 30 days due to violation of community standards. So I'm thinking like, well, I don't like just again playing coy. I send them a message saying, I don't know why I'm banned because if you look at my history on here, I have no offensive posts. I've never been reported on this, like in my profile, my backup profile. It's only like less than a year old. And they never got back to me. So I'm willing to bet that. I'm willing to bet that it's just going to be until I think it said May 30th is when I'm able to post and everything else again. And I'm thinking, you know what? Brace yourself, bitches, because when I come back, I don't know if you've ever seen this movie called Commandments, about a man that's really pissed off with God.
I've heard of it.
So he decides to break every commandment. So you know what? Facebook, get ready. We're going to have a Commandments 2, community standards. I'm raging against it. I'm going to get banned for good. They're going to just delete my profile. Be like, no, you can't be on Facebook anymore.
Oh, no, what will I ever do?
Yeah, I know. My God, I can't take pictures of my food and post it for all people to see, or
That's Instagram.
Leave self-depreciating posts, saying something like I hate my life. Someone texts me, be like, oh well, what's wrong? And me responding back, PM me. All the attention-seeking crap. But either way, let's move on from Facebook because that's not what this show, as you said, is about. But we have a great show tonight for everybody. I don't know what the hell we're going to be talking about. So I assume Josh, who has kept it under tight wraps from me in the last 2 hours since I decided to gain an interest in what we're talking about tonight. So Josh, would you like to tell people what the topic is, or are we just going to have one of those random episodes?
Oh no, this one has been meticulously planned for weeks in advance. And don't me. It's my line. I can tell it any way I want. So tonight's episode is going to be about great television writing.
Okay.
And just a way to talk about TV shows.
You really just completely pulled that out of your ass. Minutes before the show started, don't you lie. You're like, damn it, Brandon is calling me with questions about the show. What do I say? Oh, it's top secret. Shit. We've had all week to do our homework. It's due in 10 minutes and we've got nothing.
I said, we're going to have a great show tonight. Some people say it's going to be the greatest show. That's what some people say.
I'm just saying, man, it is this... The way we even plan our show, or lack of planning the show most times, it honestly is like when I was in 6th grade, when my mom would be on me about this science fair that's coming up and I have to participate. And all I did was bring in, and there's a comedian that made a joke about this, but I was that kid. I brought in a cup of dirt. I think I put a dandelion in the cup. It was like, oh yeah, this is my science experiment.
I got you beat. Because when I had to take part in a science fair, and it was the morning of the science fair, I was like, oh crap. I'll make some jello and figure something out. So I did, and I was like, I was wondering what shakes more, jello or water. So, and my science teacher was using scientific terms. He was like, so you were testing this and this and this, and I'm like, yep,
yes.
That's it. It reeks of lack of effort, but you brought in something.
Well, no, if it means anything, I absolutely bombed 6th grade. I probably should have been held back. But my mom actually went to the school and coaxed them into... I didn't graduate. I didn't walk on stage. They just kind of shuffled me out to middle school.
Well, I'm going to tell your mom right now that it's not too late to send you back. So keep that in mind.
I'm just saying, I tell people that I've brought that up like to people in conversation about like I only ever had one actual graduation, and that was from high school. I did. What was it? I was. My mom pretty much coaxed them into passing me, or at least like moving me, on to middle school in 6th grade. 8th grade, me and my best friend both failed a class, so we didn't graduate 8th grade. We spent the entire summer in summer school, where all we did in summer school was watch movies. And I'm thinking, like, well, listen, if this is what we were doing in summer school, why couldn't we just have a class like this? We would not have failed. But the fact that my mom actually went to Claire Barton in Bordentown, New Jersey, and had a conversation with the administrative staff, and was like, listen, I know my son's dumb, okay? Mm-hmm. But you know what? I mean, I would hope my mom would say something more like, listen, my son's very intelligent, he just doesn't apply himself. Maybe you guys aren't challenging him properly, or whatever. But I'm pretty sure it went as, listen, I think that we were wasting our time with Brandon, and we don't want him here for another year. So just take him with you, and we'll pretend he was never a student. No graduation, no certification, nothing. Just move on. Oh, God, being a smart, dumb kid, I swear, man. But either way, now...
I know the feeling. And just one more tangential story. Really
this is why I don't... This is why I went to film school and dropped out. Because I knew what I wanted to do. I went to film school, and I was like, you know what? These are a lot of advanced terms here. I'm going to learn these on set because I'm going to fail this class if I have to be tested on this.
Don't make me remember stuff. But on my graduation day from high school, it was a day like any other for me. It was weird because all these people were crying around me. They were like, we're ending a chapter of our lives, and things will never be the same.
Oh, God.
And we're just going to wake up tomorrow. We don't have to go to school. Isn't that awesome?
I guess.
So I'm sitting there on stage, and some guy, I don't remember who, comes up, gives a speech, and I kind of, phase out. And before I know it, I see everybody like moving their tassels, and I'm like, oh, we're done? Okay, so I guess we're going to Denny's. And I gave the cap down, walked out with my parents, and they're like, yeah, you graduated, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, I mean, was it ever a question? This is
oh, my God.
Not something that was like on the wire. It's like, okay, this is it. And it was just another day. Some people looked at me like I was really... like a sociopath, I guess? Like how can you be emotional on a day like this? It's like, how can you be so emotional on a day like this?
Oh, my God. Wait, so, like, that's one thing. That's where me and my baby sister and I connect. She is so much like me as far as the whole emotional thing goes. Because we're not emotional people. Her high school graduation, I'll tell you right now, we went to her dinner, her graduation dinner, with the entire class, and these people are coming up and hugging her and everything else. Samantha is not a hugger. Like, I mean, I'm one of the only people, myself, my mom, my stepdad, I think, I'm not too sure, like, Samantha, again, is not a very, like, touchy-feely person, but, Samantha is getting hugged by this girl that's crying in her shoulders, and Samantha has this look of pure dread on her face. And she has lips to me, get me the hell out of here. But, and my mom, I love how she chimed in again with this. She says, with me getting kicked out of, elementary school. She said, it didn't quite go that way. I told them you would actually answer test questions and not just create art out of dots on the papers. I had some awesome drawings.
Kicked out of elementary school, kicked out of middle school.
Well, no,
out of Facebook.
okay. Let me rephrase that. Flunked out of elementary school, pushed off as like the next problem for someone else to deal with in middle school. Failed middle school. Failed a class in middle school. Had to repeat that class in summer school, which was not the classes. It was not science. We were watching video tapes and having like snacky snacks all summer. And then did okay in high school. Did, okay, keyword. Like, I was always like a C student. And then, Facebook. You know what? Listen, man, I was groomed. All right. I didn't choose the gangster lifestyle. It chose me. But thus far, I am one of the only member. I think I'm the only one of my siblings that has both had to be pushed off to another school, like never earned it, but moved on to a higher grade. Been to actual jail over something really stupid, and I've been in Facebook jail more times than I can actually count right now. Like I don't even know how many times I'm banned from Facebook.
Can you imagine if we wind up in the future that not only is your criminal record looked at, but your Facebook criminal record?
Well, here's the thing, man. Much like Facebook, I don't have Facebook, I have a record, apparently. I'm not able to start a fundraiser on Facebook for my birthday.
Facebook felon.
Yeah, I can't even start a fundraiser for my birthday on Facebook. Like, nope, you violate our community standards. You cannot raise money for cancer awareness. Fuck you, kid. And that's my one
cancer.
But I am the Facebook cancer. But God, but like I don't have a criminal record because they withheld adjudication, and much like elementary school, they just kind of passed me off back into society.
Well, can I show you a magic trick?
Very hush hush. Go for it.
Okay. Much like our own personal stories, our own coming-of-age tales, some of the best sitcoms are about coming of age, and that is where we're going to start tonight. Classic coming-of-age sitcoms when it comes to great television. Boom.
You just want to talk about Full House and Family Matters.
And step by step.
Oh, God, that show.
TGIF lineup, fool.
Yeah, I remember TGIF, but my God, Step by Step should have never even been made. The sisters were hot.
Take that back.
No. I don't apologize for truth bombs.
Your truth bomb has been disarmed. I will get Christine Lake to whoop your behind.
Who's that?
She played Al on Step by Step.
Oh, okay. So, like, no one relevant right now. Gotcha, okay.
Hey, she's pretty successful.
I'm joking. No, she's very, very, very famous behind the scenes. Stepped away from all the acting and pretty much became like a behind-the-scenes personality. So, I'm just being mean because you disarmed my truth bomb.
But when it comes to these coming-of-age stories, what comes to mind? I know, for a lot of people our age, Malcolm in the Middle is like an immediate go-to when it comes to a kid growing up on screen and really growing as a character. Even with all of the silly comedy that took place on that show, with of all people, someone that's going to be considered a great TV actor, one of the best, Bryan Cranston as the Wag's dad.
I was going to say that was the show that had Walter White's other family before he decided to ditch them for good and go with Skyler and Walter Jr. and become a meth kingpin.
Yeah, that's exactly how. That's my headcanon anyway. But
that family drove him to the brink of insanity. That family shaped him into being what he ended up dying as Walter White.
Mm-hmm. That's where he learned to dance in his underwear too.
Yep.
So again, what comes to mind, especially when it comes to the writing process, what you need in a show? What are the elements of a good coming-of-age story in television?
Well, I mean, you always have to have like the kid, of course, is coming to age. They always, well, they don't have to even be really about like a kid. Like Malcolm in the Middle with what's his face, Frankie Muniz, back when he was a child. Yeah, of course, it started off that way, but it showed hell, you could say Home Improvement was like something of a coming of age show because you had the three kids that were coming into their own.
And then the child Tim Allen played.
And yeah. But I mean, he never learned a damn thing, though. Tim Allen, he never learned a damn thing in that show.
Well, he did temporarily.
He, the whole hospital had him on a first-name basis. I mean, it was even mentioned in the show. But no, Malcolm, you have something like Malcolm in the Middle. You have...
The Wonder Years.
Oh, yeah, the Wonder Years is, prime example. And I don't understand how people gravitate towards Malcolm in the Middle, but they never think of the Wonder Years, which, in my mind, was one of the best coming-of-age TV, it wasn't even a comedy, it was a drama, but, they touched on so many things.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, it's just, I didn't understand a lot of it when I was a kid, because, we were, young as hell. I mean, look at Fred Savage in that show. I mean, that's how young we were when that show came on, actually younger than him.
Yeah.
So we didn't understand a lot of the themes, but I rewatched that show last year as an adult. I watched everything. When I was dealing with COVID patients, I couldn't do anything else in the facility. I had 2 COVID patients I had to tend to, and one of them took care of themselves and whatever. So I had ample time to sit on my ass and binge Wonder Years for about a month or so.
It was on my watch list as well.
And that's what I did. For I think 2 weeks, I watched Wonder Years while I was at work, while answering call lights, while doing everything I had to do. And I'll tell you right now, that show is fantastic. But I mean, you have to have the elements of the kid learning about the world. You have to have the kid, learning about his relationships with his friends and how friends come and go.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's something that I saw, I think I'm surprised it's never been brought up in a show before because it's a stupid meme, but it said that, one day will be the very last time you and all of your friends go outside and play together. And that hits, man, because, when I was growing up, my best friend, Steven, me, him, this guy, Mark, Brian, Dave, we used to go everywhere together all the time. And I think me and Steve are we're still very close friends. We've been best friends since 3rd grade. But everyone else is kind of it was like the ending of Stand By Me. Everyone just kind of went off and did their own things. Some of them are dead. And some of them have just moved on and life hit everyone very differently and we all went our separate ways. But
you said you watched all of the Wonder Years. Is there one episode in particular that stands out?
I think one episode that stands out to me is honestly one of the more powerful episodes because as we were talking about coming of age stories deal have the character also dealing with their own family and learning things about their own family. There's an episode of the Wonder Years where Kevin's mom gets into pottery. And she's so excited and so proud of what she made in pottery with these bowls that she wants to serve dinner to her family using what she made. And her husband is just... She's so proud of what she did. And her husband is just... Okay, why are you so proud? He's not really harsh with her about it. But he just doesn't really respect it, I guess, is the best way to put it.
Yeah.
And so it turns into this whole episode where Kevin and his brother and his sister are watching their parents go days without talking for the first time in their lives. And there's this one scene where their dad is sitting at the dining room table with them. Their mom is ironing clothes or whatever, but she burns her hand. She runs over to the sink, runs cold water on her hand, and her and their dad goes over to the mom and just for those of you that have not seen the Wonder Years, the dad is like the classic masculine man's man of a person, like the old school dad. He works, mom stays home, he takes care of everything, and he can be very harsh with the family at times. But he walks over to his wife, and you see for the first time in this series that I can remember, that I can think of actually, where he feels like he tries to comfort his wife, but he doesn't really know how to. He knows he messed up, but he puts his hand on her shoulder, and she breaks down crying. And he starts rubbing her shoulders. It turns her around, and then she's bawling her eyes out in his arms. And it's such a sad episode, but I forget what Kevin says in the monologue, but it was just like such a beautifully written scene because there was no dialogue. It was all just even the child actors. Holy shit, man. Everyone was on point with this scene because there was so much emotion with absolutely zero dialogue in this one scene. Probably that's the one that stands out the most to me, next to dealing with the sister's boyfriend, I believe, dying in Vietnam. If I'm not mistaken, I believe that's what happened. I have to go back and rewatch it, but also how they deal with death and how Kevin deals with death of someone that he really, really cared about. But yeah. No, not the sister's boyfriend. It was Winnie Cooper's older brother who died in Vietnam. That's who it was. And so you had Kevin just go and find Winnie and found her at this tree that they used to all climb and everything else, and he just sat with her and kids dealing with death. It's the first time as a child, in your life ever. If it happens when you're a child, it's jarring dealing with death, man. When I was younger, we had a kid that that we kind of knew that drowned. And it was like, oh shit, But what about you?
Well, for the Wonder Years, the episode that has always stood out in my mind from the first time that I watched it. In fact, it was one of the reasons why I wanted to rewatch the whole series last year, is when Wart comes back from Vietnam.
Yes.
And he is just shook.
Yep. Yeah, the PTSD that was at the time not a thing, or not really known of.
It was definitely an interesting look at how Middle America looks at soldiers as they come back from war, and the idea that these young men at the time are supposed to be coming back as conquering heroes, and not really thinking about the effects of what happened over there, did to them. And in this episode in particular, maybe 20 years too late to open the eyes of its audience. It was very impactful to me. And I will always remember when Kevin is kind of looking at Wart, and he's just staring off into the middle distance with basically he never left Vietnam.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, see, there are a lot of even movies that kind of touch on what soldiers. There was one movie. It's not really coming. Well, I guess it can be. I don't really want to say it's coming of age. I don't want to misrepresent the movie here. But there's a movie with Martin Sheen and Emilio Estevez from the 90s called A War at Home. My mom actually is the one that introduced me to this movie. Just because she was watching it, and I was like, "Oh, what's this?" She tells me, and I was so fascinated by the film because in the movie, Emilio Estevez plays a soldier that had problems with his father before he became a soldier, and then he got shipped off to Vietnam. And it all takes place over like a Thanksgiving weekend and everything else. But you see Emilio Estevez the entire movie struggling with PTSD, like absolutely struggling. And even, has this whole thing where he holds his family hostage at gunpoint at the end of the movie when he's having a full freak out. Like hallucinating a full flashback of everything that he dealt with over in Vietnam. But coming back to the Wonder Years, that episode, that was horrible because everyone saw this such a strong, and very charming character.
He was just a goofy kid.
Yeah, just like I said, very likable though, very likable, very charming. But when he came back, he was back home, but he wasn't back. If that makes sense. There was nothing left of him as a person as to who he was before that. Instead, he was just strictly what he was turned into, from war. And seeing Kevin's reaction to that, and like seeing how everyone, reacted to it, holy shit, man! Like, I mean, but it really is a brilliant show, and there are other shows out there that touch upon like coming of age series. The Waltons, one of my mom's all time favorite shows. You see this entire family dealing with. I believe it took place in the Great Depression.
Yes.
But it's actually like
house.
Huh?
Well, I'm not that house, but I've been up to the actual house. For the family that the show's based on.
Yeah. But I mean, there's even more recently. Like, I mean, you have that. You have Boy Meets World.
Oh yeah, that's funny because
his brother played in Wonder Years, and now his younger brother goes in and starts his own,
classic coming of age story.
Yeah,
it really was. I think Boy Meets World, a reflection of the '90s, the era, of course, that it was made in, and it was a cheesy family sitcom, but it still covered the topics that, in this instance, Ben Savage, Courtney Matthews was our age. So the show tackled things that we, had on our minds, specifically friendship, girls, doing whatever you could just to not irritate your teachers. Well, maybe you not so much in that regard. But it was definitely full of moments, between Corey and Sean especially.
Oh yeah, but just real quick to revisit, not me so much. I will say, in my defense, with my teachers, I did not have a single teacher that did not like me. My teachers didn't like the fact that I was lazy. Because I knew the material, I knew everything. Mm-hmm. I just, I wasn't interested. That was it. I was taking AP classes in 9th grade, and I knew I could, I was helping the teacher learn things about Greek mythology because I'd already read it. When I told one of my teachers that my mom grounded me one time and made me do a book report, or that if I wanted to get an iguana and I had to do a full research paper on an iguana, my teacher looked at me cockeyed like, "You did these things outside of school?" Oh yeah. And my mom liked my research paper for my iguana because guess what? I got a damn iguana. Doesn't mean, never mind the fact that my mom fried him. Sorry, Mom. You kind of, I went to Florida for one summer. I come back and he's all kinds of messed up. But my iguana killed himself. He starved himself to death. He went the whole Gandhi route. Better to die than to live in that place. But no, it's coming back to the show. Rest in peace, Rocky. You're missed. But my God. But there are other shows that my mom would. Sorry, anyone listening that cannot see the feed or whatever you're listening on. if you see me cracking up, it's because I'm reading my mom's comments here. But there are other coming of age TV shows, and like mind you, really the whole point of coming of age is the transition between childhood to adulthood, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have things like the movie The Perks of Being a Wallflower. I like that movie. I was actually surprised by the movie. You have, what was it, Juno, Almost Famous. You have the Heathers, which kind of a psychotic coming of age thing. Let's not forget the great Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Yeah, those are movies. Talking about
okay. How I Met Your Mother.
TV shows. Yeah, How I Met Your Mother.
How I Met Your Mother, that 70s show. I would say, what was it, Freaks and Geeks? But we were kind of like, we were ripped off of Freaks and Geeks. We only got one season of an amazing show. But
I still don't understand how that car accident was her fault.
I don't either. What was that one with the chick from Big Bang Theory? Blossom.
Yeah. I rewatched all of that. Excellent show.
I bet you.
It was one of those. I was a 6 kid back in the day.
Yeah, she was pretty. She was pretty hot.
But it was one of those shows that did not have a problem when it comes to major hard issues like drugs and sex. They tackled it.
Oh yeah,
in full force. It wasn't like Saved by the Bell, where they're they had 2 special episodes about drugs. One was the big Hollywood actor smokes pot, and the other one is Jesse's on caffeine pills.
Oh yeah, I'm so excited. I'm so scared. Yeah. Oh my God, that was the level of acting we all saw Jessie do in Showgirls when she remained so excited. But
just to put this out there, the reboot of Saved by the Bell fully acknowledged this very memorable moment when Jesse's walking down the hall and sees one of the kids like sharing pills with another kid, and she walks over, smacks him in the hand, like, "Are those caffeine pills?" No. just walks away. And the kid's like, yeah, caffeine pills. That's what those were.
But you know what? The whole with the original Saved by the Bell, I remember the whole Hollywood celebrity. Everyone's super stoked about this guy, and then when he was smoking pot, they're like, "Oh my God, that's so evil!" And now
he is such a loser. I thought he was a good person.
Yeah, I thought he was a good person, but he smokes marijuana. Like I'm looking back, I remember seeing that on a rerun. Just one of my patients was watching Saved by the Bell. I was on my lunch break, so I'm like, you know what? I'm going to pull up a chair. I'm going to sit down, hang out with my patient, and watch a TV show with him. Not a big deal. I spend a lot of that kind of time with my patients if I can. And I remember watching this, and even my patient was looking at this as like, "Yep, you know how that this is like the 90s. Like, how's that?" It's like they're mad at an actor for smoking weed.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Like that's half of Hollywood right now. And he look, he's like, "Hell, I'm very successful. I paid for this stuff out of my pocket right now. I'm a big time pothead."
It's great. It's great because in that episode, they considered it such a problem that the head of NBC had to show up and take care of it. The head of the network shows up to take care of this guy. He's like,
"Oh my God,
we gotta get rid of this guy."
Yep, because he was smoking marijuana. Like all the things that they could have touched on. Like a Hollywood actor getting into some kind of controversy over, I don't know, being sexually interested in a student or of a younger person. Because let's face it, Hollywood is full of a bunch of sick-ass people.
Yeah, that would have been a great turn to take for that episode. Not to be weird, but if the actor was like, "Oh, Kelly, you and me, we're going to hook up. And by the way, I'm 30 and you're like 16.
Yeah,
that's the more interesting approach. But
it's like the way they
about this guy.
But the way they vilified him over weed, like, listen, I used to be anti-weed as shit. I remember taking DARE classes, but you know what? Half the people that took DARE classes, DARE has been listed as a monumental failure. I remember, like, I was watching something on YouTube and seeing all those Saturday morning cartoons I used to watch, like Ghostbusters and Ninja Turtles and G.I. Joe and all these things. And I remember, like, the little PSAs that they would have with, like, Donatello running into a kid who was, like, a kid is offered a joint by another kid. And Donatello's like, no, put that down. That stuff will ruin your life. And the kid's like, I don't do dope. And it walks away. The kid with the weed is... This is how you know he's a bad actor, first off. If you are smoking pot, Mom, I'm sorry. I know I have a retired law enforcement stepfather. I like pots. But the thing is that, I don't smoke it that much anymore. Florida, I was a big-time pothead. But the thing is that if you're smoking weed, you don't care. Like, that guy was so depressed over some kid turning down weed. I'm like, oh, bitch, you don't even smoke that at all, do you? You're just acting. Uh-huh. But it's like, I'm looking at this like, why was weed so horrible? Like, all the positive effects that actually come from THC. And we're over here like, you can't smoke weed. You're evil if you smoke weed. You might have glaucoma. Might have just been a really nice guy wanting to share his weed with some of the high school kids.
Evil glaucoma.
Did the actor have arthritis? I mean, these are questions like, going back to what I said in my Facebook post yesterday, Walt Whitman, be curious, not judgmental. Ask questions. Like, hey, Hollywood guy in Saved by the Bell, why are you smoking marijuana? I'm sorry, Zach Morris, who is a trashy character to begin with, was judging you. But,
Yeah, you just want to talk about it. I think it's easy. But yeah, and the answer might have been, well, have you seen how far the head of NBC is up my butt?
Yeah. And that's one thing that always cracked me up. Like, they actually had, like, this guy caught, I assume, caught a plane or something to go to Baycrest High School. Bayside High School. I'm sure he had to, there were travel time of some sort just to go. Do you have any idea how unrealistic that is? Even over weed. Like, you're not going to have, like, the head of NBC, like, go down there and rip this guy a new one and, like, oh, well, you're not with us anymore. Like, there's legal hurdles to go through here.
I have a contract.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm we're talking about the greatest television shows, greatest writing, and it's hard to talk about the greatest without mentioning a few of the lackluster.
Oh, yeah. No, well, I mean, like I said, though, if anyone goes back, there's actually a series, if you guys have never heard of this series, I think it's College Humor that does it, or no, Funny or Die does it. And it is Zach Morris is trash. And, it's been a long time since I watched Saved by the Bell. But this series actually has some very valid points for a comedy series. It goes to the highlights of Zach Morris and everything he does. Like, he doesn't, he goes up for an auction thinking that he's going to end up with, like, a really hot chick to go to a dance with. And he ends up with a girl who's a little heavyset. And he fakes, like, something going on so he doesn't have to go to the dance with a fat chick. He likes this one girl until he realizes that she's in a wheelchair, and the way he shows that he's okay with her being in a wheelchair, as if she needs his permission, is by playing basketball with his friends in wheelchairs for her. I'm looking at this like, I would not say Saved by the Bell would have, like, the best writing.
No, but I'm going to go ahead and throw the current writers of Saved by the Bell a bone and give them props for being so self-aware with the new series. And how none of the characters from the original series seem to have matured at all.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, Zach Morris is still a piece of trash. From what I only watched the one episode. It's just Saved by the Bell is not a me thing. Even if it's remade, I like the approach they took with the kids. It's just not my kind of a show. But you're right. Like the characters, the original characters that are in it, have not changed at all.
Mm-hmm.
Not one bit. Dustin Diamond, if he didn't spiral so far out of control and then unfortunately pass away, if he had actually kept his wits about him over the years, I would have been interested. I would have been very interested to see what Screech became, being like he was still like a major character in the college years.
He was an astronaut.
Oh, is that what it is? He's an astronaut?
Well, in one of the episodes, they said, Screech got lucky and got out of this by being on the International Space Station.
Oh, gotcha, okay.
So it was a throwaway line, but, they mentioned him.
You know who the best actor or actress was in that whole show?
Mr. Belding.
Nope. Tori Spelling. Because she actually played a smart chick.
No, you.
Zing!
But I think one of the clever things that the writers of the new series did, and I'm not saying the new series is great by any means, but I like the idea that they took this old show and recognized that the characters in it were living in a bubble, that nothing penetrated their bubble, and they never had to grow as people. Even though each week they supposedly grew as people, I accept wheelchair people now. I accept this now. I accept that now. And it was all a big, hunky-dory lesson. And when the new students got to Bayside from the inner-city school, and you get their perspective in this bubble, because, again, the bubble is still in place. Bayside High is still encased, it is enshrined in this. Well, the only way to solve our problems is through hijinks and shenanigans and elaborate plots and schemes, which they mentioned several times. It's like, okay, we have to do this. What's our scheme? Well, I have a 10-point plan to do this, and the new kids are like, why don't we just go talk to them at a council meeting or something? Like, no, that's crazy. That would never work. What we need to do is hide under the rafters with 27 cell phones. And, I love it when something is just self-aware.
Oh yeah, like I mean, and that's fine and all. It's one of those things like where there are. It takes, like I said before, it takes a lot for me to get into a show, like a lot. I was recently, and this isn't really so much of. Well, I guess it could be considered like a coming of age kind of deal, but it's more of a fish out of water story. Is the show Ted Lasso? Now there are things that it touches on, like with Ted's separation from his wife and everything else, but mostly it's a fish out of water. But like the writing in that show, I think is brilliant. Freaks and Geeks remains one of my all-time favorite TV shows, and it only lasted one season for some asinine reason. I don't know why. It was just such a great show to me. That could have been the next Wonder Years, but unfortunately, it didn't work out that way. But even like that 70s show. That 70s show was, actually, it was hysterical. But it had some really, just messed up, really dark moments in it for a sitcom. Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. That's another coming-of-age story.
Mm-hmm. Really good one, too.
Oh, yeah. For such a hysterical show, you see Will Smith dealing with, his, the one episode with his father. And you see, his father for who he is. And Will Smith's, I guess, acceptance, but questioning why his father never wanted him. Carlton. When Will Smith saves Carlton, he takes a bullet for Carlton. When Carlton gets addicted, and they actually, they dealt with the drug problem much better with Carlton, taking, caffeine pills or accident. Didn't he, actually, he thought it was... were they caffeine pills, or was it something? I think it was actually a different kind of. I forget what it was, but it was in Will Smith's locker, and he had to come clean to the family that those pills were in his locker. And that's where Carlton found them. But it actually was a very powerful show. What's that?
Speed.
Was that what it was?
Yeah, he thought it was vitamins.
Oh, okay. It's another show I'll have to go back and rewatch. Especially for the unexplained difference in Aunt Viv's looks, skin tone, attitude, and everything. Which they kind of like, I know they kind of touched on. I was like, oh, you look different. Like,
but you brought up that 70s show, The Wonder Years, and I'm going to bring up Happy Days. And they all have something in common.
That's actually a damn good one.
They are all set in eras 20 years out from when they're shot, or is it the other way around? Yeah. So it seems like 20 years or so is around the sweet spot to cover a coming of age type story.
So we need to write one about the turn of the at the turn of the new millennium.
Yeah, that's going to be the next big one, I think, when it comes to period pieces.
Because I mean, let's face it, because like there was a lot of shit that happened, just like fear and horrible fear, like some things that were just like not horrible, but things that did happen. I mean, let's go with I remember being a kid. Heaven's Gate was a big thing. Y2K was a big fear. People actually killed themselves over the thought of Y2K. And then you had, of course, 9/11. All these things that have happened. Hurricane Katrina. There's a whole bunch of stuff that happened just in easily, I want to say a 7-year period. Like imagine being like a kid coming into a zone as in as like a late teenager dealing with all these things back to back. Like I was like 18, I think, when 9/11 happened. 18, about to turn 19. But I'm just like all these things that just happened. I'll tell you right now, there's a lot of stuff that happened that really kind of. There's a reason why people our age have such a dark, twisted sense of humor. So, but I think it's definitely time for something like that. Joshy Poo, are you there? Josh is quiet. This is my show, bitches. Welcome to the WADcast. This is Brandon speaking. Well, I'm assuming Josh is dealing with his little kitties right now that he put the microphone on mute to deal with the kids. Mom, you are the biggest commentator in our feed right now. What is a good coming-of-age TV show that you would recommend? It can be anything. Josh, are we still connected to you?
Yup. Okay, so one of
It's okay. I held down the fort while you were gone.
Good.
At no time did I ever say, "This is my show, bitches. Welcome to the WADcast. This is Brandon speaking." And okay, Waltons. Oh yeah, I would never, ever say something like that. Mom commented the Waltons, of course, and as far as a really good coming of age show, and let's face it, the Waltons even touched on a lot of things that were, pretty important. Like I believe there was even an episode where they dealt with. I believe there was an episode where they dealt with racism. Because let's face it, I'm saying let's face it, that was not exactly the best time to not be a Caucasian in America.
Yeah, I never understood the sentiment of the greatest generation. It's like, yeah, they went to war, they fought Hitler. It's great. It's wonderful. But when they got back, there were still separate water fountains.
Dude, listen, man. The whole United We Stand on 9/11 That shit lasted for what, like a year, and it comes up like once in a while, but people still treat other people out here as if they're like, second rate, like sub creatures, I guess best way to put it. So yeah, like there's no great generation at all. Okay. Okay. What I was saying is, like, there is no greatest generation, because every generation, you know what? What is it? The greatest generation because they were in World War II? What does it make the generation in World War One? Like World War II, America didn't want to have any parts of that war.
Not officially.
Not officially. But it's like, and neither did they really have World War One either. But we're coming off topic a little bit. But you have shitheads in every generation, and usually those shitheads are wearing suits and running things.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Amber chimes in.
Saved by the Bell, the caffeine pills episode. Oh yeah, you missed it, Amber. I don't know if you heard it. We actually completely ripped that apart. I even did my best Jesse impersonation with the "I am so excited" bit. You know what? One thing that did crack me up, and I will say this in the pilot episode of the new Saved by the Bell series, that they brought the damn AT&T big gray cell phone back into the mix. Because like that was a long-running thing in the original series, with Zach Morris being such a cool kid that he had this, cell phone that I'm pretty sure causes brain cancer.
And in the reboot, one of the new kids has that kind of cell phone. And her mother says, you cannot send new pictures of this one.
Yeah. Oh, man. But the whole scene where, like, if you're going to get into, like, the more serious episodes of Saved by the Bell, Zach Morris trying to come to terms with his father, who's always a traveling business person. I personally blame his father for the reason why Zach Morris was just, like, a trash person.
We find out he basically became his father.
Mm-hmm. Too busy for his own son. He thinks his son's going to be good because his son looks okay. Like, I don't know. But this is what I picked off from the one episode of the new series I watched. Again, I'm not going to watch any more of the new Saved by the Bell because my older brother was always big into Saved by the Bell. That's why I watched that shit. I could not stand that show even when I was a kid.
Plastic gamer.
Huh?
Nothing. Did we, as a generation, ever get our quintessential 90s coming-of-age story in the 2010s?
Well, there is a movie called The 90s.
Yeah. But did we get our Happy Days? Did we get our That 70s Show? Did we get our Wonder Years?
I don't think so, actually. The closest we got was probably, like, I guess... well, actually, no, we did. We got Dawson's Creek.
That was in the 90s.
I'm just saying it was still a coming-of-age series.
But I'm talking about the retro...
I mean, listen, do you really want to watch... Actually, you know what? I'm not even going to ask you this question because I'd still watch it. A show with a bunch of people wearing cannon leg jeans, fresh off a shopping trip from Hot Topic. Let's see, wearing rollerblades, having a CD player that like they have to put in your pocket just the right way to where the CD doesn't skip while you're rollerblading. Watching the premiere of Jackass and talking about the brand new Jackass TV show with your friends in high school, Family Guy. Dealing with things like Y2K, dealing with just all this crap. Like, I mean, again, like still reeling from the effects of your existence in the DARE program. I mean, there honestly, there were so many things that could be touched on in a coming of age series based around kids growing up in the like mid to late 90s alone. I think that I'm smelling like once we get finished with what we're doing right now, while we're in the further into the pre-production stage, that we focus on maybe just planning something out, just talking, reminiscing about all the stupidity. Like, I mean, I can tell you right now, like, even up into 2002, I was, those of you that don't know me, I'm not going to get too far into this because it's a very, you know, personal situation. But I was with someone that I was absolutely insane over and unexpectedly dealt with loss in that. And I'll tell you right now, that is something that and I wasn't exactly a kid when I dealt with like very personal loss. But I also got to see the effects because she wasn't even 20 years old when she passed away, and her brother was I think Jim was 18 when he passed away. But the thing is, like dealing with that, there's a lot of stuff, like a lot of raw emotions that have been touched on in other things. That these are things where dealing with certain issues. There is so much that you could touch upon. There was a kid that I graduated from high school with that was stabbed to death, just a few weeks after graduation. I mean, so like me being a teenager then dealing with this guy that I personally never liked, but it's still equally tragic. There's a lot of stuff that that aside, there's a lot of room where you can actually come up with a good story that takes place in that time frame.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm dead serious. I want a show where there's a bunch of kids at a mall using their little Nokia brick-style phones, like rapidly texting by tapping on the number keys. Super excited and jealous because some kid has a brand new flip phone and has a camera on it, so he's the shit right now.
That wasn't the 90s.
Well, I'm just saying. But that was at the turn of the new millennium.
It was like 2005?
Actually, no. The Nokias were around in like 1999. Because I had this friend, Kim, that lived in Delaware. I would go down to Delaware from New Jersey, take the ferry across, and go hang out with her. And, she had her little Nokia brick phone. I think the Blair Witch Project. We went to go see the Blair Witch Project. Snuck into that shit. I'm sitting there playing on her phone. Because it had that snake game. Oh my god, it's a handheld device that has, whatever. But, Amber, you leave Josh alone. He's mine, okay? But,
she was there first.
No. But no, there's a whole lot that you can really touch upon. For something that would happen in, what would your ideal, plot line be for a coming of age story at the, dare I say this without feeling like I'm going to kill myself, at the turn of the century?
Honestly, I'm not sure.
Okay.
I can think back to the things that I did. I would love a show that's just called The Class of 2000, and it's 4 years of, the Class of 2000 in high school. And seeing the new technologies coming out. Somebody getting, a girlfriend on the internet for the first time, right?
Oh, yeah. Trying to watch porn and, you're hoping to God that's the right kind of porn that's slowly loading up with the dial-up internet?
Mm-hmm. Having your sibling pick up the phone when you're online.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Booting you off.
You kick me off. or just when you're trying to get on the internet and you hear the sounds like... And you're like, please disconnect. And believe it or not, boys and girls, if you're younger than us, you might not believe it, but there was a point in time where you could try to get online, but there were too many people on the internet, so you couldn't.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. Sometimes the internet was too busy to use. And
oh, my God.
Now imagine, though, the type of stories you tell where you're stuck somewhere. You don't have a cell phone. There's payphones everywhere. And one of the kids is like, hey, I know a trick. You call someone polite, give them the payphone number, and hang up. You have received a call from 343-1726. Click. Wait a minute. Payphone rings. You get around that whole having to pay for it thing.
Huh.
When call and collect was still a thing.
Call and collect. Let's not forget calling cards at Walmart.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God! What was it? A hot tub time machine. There was a scene that just reminds me of growing up. It's the John Cusack's nephew. They go back in time, and he starts talking to this one girl, like while they're back in the '80s partying, and he was like, "Oh yeah, so we should hang out sometime." Oh, that'd be awesome! Like, oh, that's really cool. So, let's exchange numbers. What? Like, do you have a cell phone? What's that? What's your email? I don't know what you're talking about. How do I get a hold of you? You come find me. Like, that just sounds like really exhausting. That's right, kids. We had to work for our meal. Plus, also, driver's licenses. Okay, my very first driver's license was a piece of paper that was laminated.
Yeah,
it wasn't like it was a laminated piece of paper that would have been so easy to duplicate. And as proof of how easy it would be to duplicate, I even have a friend of mine who got busted by the government and got raided. There was like a SWAT team that showed up to his house because he was mass producing fake IDs. I will not mention names, but we are still very good friends to this day. So, I will say the initials, CM, if you're listening, love you, buddy.
But I could be down with putting together something, a nice coming-of-age story about some 90s kids, since nobody else seems to want to. Well, I think Pen 15 might be about that. But
yeah, we're important too. Okay, we have feelings too. We had some serious shit. Like, we were one of the last generations that could actually go out and stay out until. Well, I'm sorry, we're told, Mom. I remember this very well. To get my ass home the second I saw a street light come on.
Mm-hmm.
Trick or treating till 11 o'clock at night at the age of like 13 years old by myself. Just coming home, putting my pillowcase full of candy down, getting another costume on, going right back out, doing it again, come back home, change into last year's costume, go back out, come back home. Oh, man. It was fun. Kids now, my God. You know what? To the generation that's growing up right now, I will say this. I do not envy your existence in the least bit. I don't envy a damn thing about your childhood. You do not have it good. You are missing out because you were born way too late into the game to where your life is controlled by social media and everything like digital. We had Super Nintendo. We had Super Mario World, okay? We had Super Mario Brothers on the NES.
They have all that.
They have emulators. They don't know the stress of having to go to Blockbuster and hope to God that their copy of whatever VHS tape they want to rent is there. They don't know what it's like to have that is the way that they would watch movies. They'd have to go rent them or buy them from the store.
They don't know this. Your house.
Yeah, they don't know the fear of, oh my God, I found the tape. I don't know where I put the case in my messy ass room. Holy shit! Now I have a late fee. Christ. Blockbuster did not mess around. There was a woman who was just arrested because she had an outstanding warrant. You heard about this, right?
Yes.
There was a woman who was arrested recently because she had an outstanding warrant from a videotape that her ex-boyfriend at the time, returned for her, but he returned it late, and he never took care of the late fee. She was arrested for an outstanding warrant on a late fee at a Blockbuster.
Mm.
It was a 20-year-old warrant from Blockbuster, and the judge just threw it out. I mean, but she was still arrested.
If you can outlive the company that you owe money to, you should be good.
Listen, that just goes to show what we dealt with growing up. We are badasses because we could have been thrown in jail over a late videotape, apparently. So.
I mean, for us, just in general, it seemed like we got away with a lot more things that I look back and I'm like, oh, we are terrible people.
Oh, yeah. Let's see. Oh, God, dude. The things that I've done out of curiosity, my mom will tell you. She will. So she'll back these things up. We were blowing up G.I. Joes in the woods. We were playing with explosives. And she doesn't know this, but Mom, now you're going to find out. My mom and my stepdad bought me a bow and arrow when I was like a teenager because I really wanted to get into archery. And I was good at it. So good that we were watching an episode of Dukes of Hazzard, me and my best friend, where they were blowing up gas cans with arrows. Well...
Please don't admit to anything you're so prosecuted for.
Me being like 16 years old, going out back of, Steve's house, and it's like, hey, Steve, I'm going to grab this toy lightsaber. Launch some arrows at me. I'm going to block him with a lightsaber. I'm going to use the Force. The Force was not strong with me. So...
You have a message.
Oh, I am not surprised. Oh, Mom, I am surprised that you do not have a head full of gray hair just from raising me. Oh, my God. Throwing bags of homemade fake blood, another thing she doesn't know about, throwing bags of homemade fake blood in front of transit buses in Bordentown, New Jersey. Things that seemed funny at the time, but now you grow up, you're like, oh, that was really not cool.
I would love to do an episode about these, fictitious kids, in this show, right? And I would love to do an episode where they're in the car or on the bus, and for 24 minutes, nothing happens. Just to, sure, there'll be some music.
Really hammer in the point of what our childhood was like.
Yes, basically.
Do you remember those? Do you remember those roadside, those road trip games that were magnetic?
No, yeah.
Or the Tiger Electronics that just they really were not fun games, but it was better than playing I Spy, I guess.
Or the Magic Pen books.
Yep. My God, we are going old school with all this stuff. Oh man.
And these are the things that we have not had our. We haven't had our Wonder Years. The show that reflects what it was like for us to grow up, and I think a lot of it has to do with during the 90s. It was pretty. It was pretty out there.
Oh, yeah.
We were already seeing ourselves on TV.
No, exactly. We were everything that was happening. Yeah, they wasted no time. Hey, kids are really messed up right now, man. Let's make a show about them. But we have to make it how we view the kids right now. Not anything based in anything remotely close to reality. Let's get a bunch of 20-something-year-olds hey, let's make a show, Dawson's Creek. At least that 70s show had a teenager in Mila Kunis playing a teenager, and she wasn't even legal to work. She was I think 14 during the first season.
14.
But
which is really weird because Ashton Kutcher was 50.
Yeah, but the thing is go with them because they did not age. They look the exact same way that they did in that 70s show in the first season. Which has all kinds of crazy things about Ashton Kutcher that his wife still looks like she's 14 years old. But the thing is all these things, my God, Dawson's Creek, man, how unrealistic of a coming-of-age show did you have to make? Like, they all show up at each other's houses via, like, a creek on canoes, and they dock their canoes, and that's how they, go see each other. They're climbing through each other's windows. You know what? I don't think... Well, I mean, there was no way for me to climb into my best friend's window because of how his house was set up, and I could not climb into my window because I would have to use a fire escape. Now, I snuck out via that fire escape a few times, but I had to, like, weigh it down to, be able to sneak back in. But we had stand by me moments where we would walk the train tracks, but we would walk the train tracks with intentions of getting up on top of these freight cars and pretending that we're cowboys jumping trains, and we're like 13 years old, man. Oh God, good times. Me giving myself a 1 week vacation. I think it was 6th grade. I gave myself a 1 week vacation from school, and the school was never even looking for me.
You know what?
The things we could have gotten away with.
Here's I'm about to do another magic trick.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. It's gonna take a little heavy lifting.
Okay, go ahead. What's up?
All right. Considering everything we talked about so far tonight, and considering our own childhoods, what elements from these great shows would we need to pull together to create the great show about our youth?
I would say the introduction to high school. Okay, for instance, when I was a kid, I moved from one school, Peter Mutual, in 5th grade, to Claire Barton in 6th grade. So I moved away from a school that had all my two of my friends. I was always a loner, but and then in middle school, it was like the only middle school in the district. So these two elementary schools all, piled back up. So all the kids that were in my old school were now classmates again. And it continued into high school until I moved down to Cape May, New Jersey. But I think, like, if you were to have something where it's like the reintroduction of something like that, I think would be fascinating, because that's something you don't really see, where like you get separated, because you move to we only moved like a mile away. But
I feel like an idiot.
Why?
Well, one, there's two ABC shows that we have completely neglected to mention. One, in much the same vein as we're talking about the Goldbergs, what it did for the 80s, as far as really showcasing the pop culture of the time.
Yeah.
Mostly because, Adam was a huge nerd. So there was a Star Wars episode, there was a Ghostbusters episode, Knight Rider, they covered a lot of pop culture stuff, and then I thought it was pretty cool. And then they had the spin-off about, I don't remember her name, but that was set in the 90s. Unfortunately, it lasted 2 seasons? Laney, that's what it was. And it tried to do the same thing, but I don't think it had the same heart as the Goldbergs, because, Adam's coming of age story was apparently in the 80s, and the 90s was, it seems a little more cartoony, as far as the pop culture references. Here's Spice Girls, here's Nirvana, here's, Tamagotchi. So that it didn't quite nail that for me. And another show that's set in the 90s, coming of age show, that gives a pretty unique perspective about, being an Asian kid, I guess, fresh off the boat. That was... Honestly, when I first heard about the show, I was like, wow, this title is crazy, and I don't know how this could ever be on TV. And then I watched it, of course. I was a little busy judging the book by its cover, I guess. And it instantly became a must-watch for me. I watched it on a weekly basis. But the funny thing is, there were references to the 90s, but if you didn't even think about it, it's a show that could take place during any point in time.
Okay.
It's hard to say. It's hard to explain what I'm thinking here because the biggest references, that it's the 90s is, the kid likes, Tupac and Shaquille O'Neal for the Orlando Magic. And it doesn't really date itself very much. Although, I will say that in the first season, the dialects, that are chosen to be on display are a little, especially since Randall Park is that's it's not him. But it is a great show that's set in the 90s, but it's not a great reflection of the 90s, I don't think. And I don't mean that in a detrimental way because it's not reflective of the era it's supposed to be set in because, like I said, it has its moments. But I think it's more of a compliment to say that this show feels like it could really be set in any time with just even the slightest alterations to, the script. So I can't really say Fresh Off the Boat is, true 100 representative of our childhood because, well, we're a couple of white boys from Florida.
Yeah.
Makes sense?
No, it does.
So I just wanted to make sure that, as we're lamenting about, our childhoods not being perfectly preserved in television history via a Wonder Years type retrospective, that there are a couple of shows that have at least given the attempt. I know there was another one, I don't remember what it was called, only last one season. And again, enjoyable, but it's one of those things where this one relied too much on trying to date itself by telling you constantly, this is the 90s. Be it through, hey, look at what this person's wearing, or and check it out. They're talking about, again, the Spice Girls, Nirvana. I can survive another show where, because you know what? If I did a show about growing up in the 90s, my high school years were, 96 to 2000. That's where I was. That was post Nirvana, right? I would have friends, or at least acquaintances, that would wear a Nirvana shirt, but it was never part of me. And that's around the time I started getting into Real Big Fish, Sublime, SoCal stuff.
Yep, ska music.
Love ska music. Still do. Still listen to ska music. And while everyone's listening to grunge and post-grunge and the things that popped up out of it, I'm stinking and, listening to horns and, music should be happy. And then a friend of mine ruined it all by saying, ska music is just really depressing lyrics to be music, right? Like, what are you talking about? Oh. I get it. It's just a mask for pain. The horns are the mask. Like, yeah, that's exactly right. Just like every pop-punk songs about breaking up.
Oh, I mean, I was going to say, half this stuff, it's just like every emo song is pretty much like about how Daddy doesn't love me. I mean, Papa Roach. That's how they got famous.
But were Papa Roach emo?
No, they were shit.
They were like rap metal off of that new metal trend.
I wouldn't even call Papa Roach music. I would call it flatulence. That's what it is. It's like shit. It's like shithole gas. That's what it is to me.
Well, just cut your life into pieces already.
Oh, well, it is my last resort. But no, but it's just like there are a lot of things that you can actually bring up for a coming of age thing in the taking place in like the 90s to even like right after, because mind you, like coming of age doesn't stop when you graduate high school. Like, I mean, there are situations where like that same character, you could go on and show their growth. That you could show them growing into like even adulthood. Like, I mean, I think your coming of age stops at least, because like even Scrubs was a coming of age show, but it was a coming of age for a fresh out of med school doctor.
I'm gonna cut you off there.
Okay.
Because it reminds me that Turkleton was in Skyline, and it bummed me out.
Oh.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. No, but I'm just saying, it's like there are different facets of things. But I think like definitely like the coming of age thing, you could show what it's like to be a kid in the 90s very easily. We didn't have social media. We had like MySpace, I think. I'm saying like we had what I'm saying is we had MySpace after we graduated, after our graduation years. We didn't have it. I didn't have it in high school. I didn't have MySpace until I think 2003 or 4, maybe somewhere around there.
AOL.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. We had AOL Instant. Yeah, I remember what mine was. I don't know where the hell it came from, but it was Adekfire, ADEKFIFYRE. And the other, because I was trying to get something like a little cooler than what my first one was, which was Kid Crab 82.
You know what mine was?
What?
Skit Comic.
Oh, look at you.
It's a household name.
Well, see, I still use my student ID from high school as a password in some things. So I mean, it's man. But let's see. You also go through like, okay, my high school, we had a talent show. Quite a few high schools do. But every one of my talent show, they're all trying to be like the next dancers, like next big dancers. Like they're all dance routines. That's all it was, dance routines. God, let's see. I rapped. What was it? I performed Amish Paradise, dressed up as an Amish person, with a fake beard and everything. And then I did an Andy Kaufman impersonation for his Saturday Night Live thing from Mighty Mouse. But, there you go. Weird Al Yankovic. That's another way to age that shit. The movies that, like, my first date was going out with, like, my now friend in adulthood, Amanda, to go see Titanic. Like, I mean, God, dude. Mom dropped us off. Yeah, Mom, Amish Paradise, my God. That was great. I really wish I still had that VHS. Like, that'd be amazing to digitize that, and oh, God. It'd be awesome if Lower K May even had those things where I could order a copy, 20 years later. But, my God. Good times.
I went ahead and changed the description of the show, the title. Because we did not do the thing
Well, I don't even know what the description of the show was.
Well, I was talking about the greatest TV shows of all time, and it turned into us talking about going up in the 90s and then the great coming of age television throughout the years. Which is still good. It's a good topic. It's all good.
But it's just like, I mean, I honestly, like, I think if you were to do something for coming of age from when we were kids, yeah, we should definitely have ours. But I think it should also go up to, let's say, about like 2003 or 4 and stop there. I even have the best way to end it. You can have someone in college and have her roommate come in or his roommate come in and be like, "Oh, did you hear about Facebook?" It's a great way for us. It's a great way for us to connect and connect with each other and really make a lot of friends online. Oh, that's awesome! Let's sign up for it.
We'll always stay in touch.
Yeah, end of the series. That's it. Because Facebook has been so great. I will say that Facebook itself has actually done a lot as far as the whole networking thing. But let's face it, you and I did not meet on Facebook. We met through Craigslist.
Well, not exactly on my end. I was just told to be at a place.
Yep.
Maybe here we're gonna get a writer, but I'm a writer. We're gonna get another one.
It's like, okay. But I'm a writer. It's like, yeah, you're a writer. Oh, it's messed up. But no, it's like there again. There are so many things to touch upon. 9/11, when that happened in my area, I'm sure it happened in Florida too. It happened all across the country, where people who owned businesses that were Middle Eastern or wherever they were from were being ravaged by pissed off people because, oh my God, you caused 9/11. That shows that we haven't changed as a society at all. And it continues to happen to this day. But you have all these situations again, Y2K. That was, I remember being a kid and I had someone in my class, I think one of my teachers actually was terrified of Y2K. The whole everything goes back to zero. The stock market's going to crash. This is going to crash. This is going to crash. This is going to stop. Nuclear weapon, whatever the hell it was. One of my favorite things about the 90s, Weekly World News tabloid papers. I enjoyed those.
Okay. Bad Boy.
Yep. Bat Boy, a house being haunted by the ghost of a freshly cooked lobster. I remember that one. That was pretty funny.
Elvis sighted everywhere.
Elvis, Bigfoot boxing match or whatever it was. The Bigfoot Fight Club, I believe, was what it was. But yeah, there are so many things that are actually very interesting talking points. Alice in Chains, Lane Staley passing away. If you want to dial it back a little bit further into right before the mid-90s came about, in '94, Kurt Cobain's death.
Mm-hmm.
The whole grunge scene. There's so many things that can be brought up.
When parental controls consisted of cover your eyes.
Yeah. And don't forget the cable channels that we could kind of see, but we couldn't really see.
Except those days when you could see. They were few and far between, but they came.
My mom has washed a few of my tube socks. Let's just put it that way, okay? So, sorry, Mom.
Sitting in a room by yourself, watching scrambled TV, and then someone walks in the door. You're like, ah!
I didn't mean to ask. We're talking about all this stuff. Where is our third leg tonight?
He had to bake a cake. For some sick children at an orphanage.
God. So let's just say he just didn't make it on the show. Gotcha. All right. So.
Yeah, continue to give me a call a little bit earlier today, and I didn't get a chance to get it, and I didn't call him back because I was like, I'll just talk to him on the show.
Oh, so it's probably about the show then.
Probably. But as far as this, the show, what we're talking about, and building this 90s coming of age story, some of the main elements that a lot of these great coming of age stories had was, one, excellent supporting cast. Everybody had their own story. Everybody had their own depth, their own personalities.
Yep.
Whether it was the parents, they're the tropes of goofy dad, stern dad, caretaker mom, workaholic mom, whatever the case may be. But everybody still had their own problems. They had their own lives. And it wasn't all revolved around, so what's the main character doing today? And ensemble pieces have always been some of my favorite types of television, especially when it comes to writing. Community. I'm going to go ahead and say that's coming of age story is these, adult people are trying to figure out how to be. I don't know what they're trying to be honest. Going to community college at their ages. And also, a wide range of ages from just graduated high school to, been close to retirement. Everybody has their own motivations for being in these specific places. And somehow they all come together and tell wonderful stories, with the mixing and the matching of the characters. So I would think it would have to be, a nice ensemble piece, maybe not focus on a specific person as much as a group of friends. Like, half of yours was about Richie, one of yours was about Kevin. That 70s show. That wasn't about Eric Form. That was about the group of friends. So, we're looking for that 90s show. But not that, because they tried that 80s show and it was not good.
Well, I mean, let's face it. I mean, there's nothing interesting really about the 80s.
Oh, bite your tongue.
The style of the 80s was to have no style whatsoever. It was like the most random shit decade. I remember watching Teen Wolf, and his best friend's name is Styles. And I cannot figure out what the hell his style was. I have no clue. Checkered suspenders, those plastic, they weren't sunglasses, but they were like the ones like Macho Man Randy Savage would always wear. They had like the little slits in like the plastic, front that you would look through.
Oh, yeah.
But it's just like, the style of the 80s was to have no style. Now, I mean, there were things that happened, of course. There was, like, the wall coming down and everything else. David Hasselhoff was a big 80s thing, like Knight Rider and all that stuff. It's like... Outside of David Hasselhoff, though, I can't think of a goddamn... Well, I guess Ronald Reagan getting shot, but, Back to the Future, I guess. Like, one good part of the 80s, Back to the Future.
Yeah.
But I would say the Ninja Turtles movie, but that wasn't until 1990 anyway, so it doesn't count. Ghostbusters. But the Goldbergs... Go ahead.
So there's a show that's on TV right now. It's in its first season. Young Rock.
Oh, yeah.
That, in the first episode, you got kind of a glimpse of him as a child, and then him as a teenager. I want to say there's three distinct eras. I don't remember. I don't know how I don't remember this, but anyway. And I was very worried that every episode was going to be, you're covering three different eras per episode. or two. God, I don't remember. Anyway, you're covering all of the Hawaii, Florida. Anyway, I'm straying here. But turns out that was not the case because each episode deals with a distinct time in the Rock's life.
Yeah.
So maybe in one episode you see him, he's 10 years old. And, he tells a story about being 10 years old. And then in the next episode, he's, 20 years old. So I've been finding it to be a very interesting concept in how to do your storytelling, because you're getting a kind of cause and effect through each episode. You're seeing like ramifications of decisions made in childhood years later in the next episode.
Yep.
And it's a pretty cool trick, I think. And from what we've been saying about this 90s show, it might be cool to say, this is us in the 90s, this is us as adults. And see kind of, I'm just thinking out here. It's been a long day. It's been a long show. We're almost 2 hours in.
Well, it was. I mean, but we were also reminiscing on quite a few things there.
Yes.
But there are plenty of things. But like I was saying earlier, that 80s show didn't work.
No.
But that 80s show really sucked.
It was too
bad.
soon.
It was just bad anyway. It was like really, really bad. It didn't have any of the charm or like anything that made that 70s show great. This show didn't have it. But you have a lot of good things that came out of the 90s. You have, I remember being a kid living in New Jersey, reading about, this feature film being filmed, Clerks, reading about it. There's a lot of things that really kind of, happened in, the 90s period. A lot. The rise and fall of grunge. You had a lot of things things like Blockbuster Video was, of course, big in the 80s, but it was just all the game systems that were happening, the game wars, Sega Genesis does what Nintendo don't. Remember those things, those ads, for Sega Genesis versus Super Nintendo. Yeah, I mean that was a very, very big thing in the 90s as well. There's a lot of stuff that went on, and I remember being a kid, sitting down having a little Dunkaroos snack pack during lunch. Lunchables, Dunkaroos, the snack packs, all that stuff. All that, the Ecto Cooler was one that was the early 90s. But now it's a great alcoholic drink, but the juice box is actually pretty good. But you have all these things that were coming out, the Toy Wars that were coming out, all these things. So being a kid in the 90s, it was actually pretty damn awesome. I would actually go so far as to say that the kids growing up in the 90s had probably one of the coolest childhoods, because there was a certain level of technology, but we were still very much outdoorsy and very active kids.
Mm-hmm. You could be a video game addict and an outdoorsy kid.
Oh yeah, yeah. All the things about Mortal Kombat. There's a secret character Ermac in Mortal Kombat 2. No, there's not. But people were saying that there was. You have all these things that were going on. And again, the style itself. The style, the cliques in the 90s. That was a real thing. In my high school, we had rednecks. My high school was in Cape May, New Jersey. It was more you should be more of a surfer, but there were people that showed up in these giant belt buckles and looking like they're fresh from a ranch. There's no ranches around there. These was a bunch of kids that would go to Cowtown in New Jersey to go to rodeos. And they would even, these are kids that, when I started high school, were preps. But then I guess they discovered country music, and then they started even trying to speak with a southern accent. But the kids dressed up like vampires going to Hot Topic, drinking the little juice bags called Bag of Blood. Like, I mean, come on, man. Like, we were like, when we were kids, we were just a bunch of freak shows. That's all we were.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, I mean, the trench coats were a big thing until like the trench coat mafia shit happened. You know, just like all this stuff that happened, like everything, like the skating, skateboarding, rollerblading.
All of the fishnets.
Oh yeah, yeah. Guys and girls have fishnets. So yeah, all these things. Like it was pretty awesome. Like it really was an awesome time to grow up.
You thought it was cool to be transsexual in the early aughts. Well, in the 90s, we had complete androgyny.
Oh yeah.
Well, so are you a boy or a girl?
I'm Pat.
Especially the goth kids. Everybody had long black hair, very, very loose, baggy clothing. You didn't know what the hell anybody was.
And you know what? There was actually one thing that cracked me up about, like, we're talking about, like, things like Boy Meets World earlier. First off, to have these kids be in the same classroom as they grew up with the same teacher throughout the entire series. I will say that I know it's like to live next door to your teacher because my teacher, Miss Bianco, was my teacher, and she lived right next door to me. So, like, and I think I was even, like, house sitting for her one time while I was attending high school and attending her class with a substitute for a week. Like, I wonder where Miss Bianco is. Like, oh, well, she's out of town. I'm watching her house. But there was a lot of stuff that was like really awesome about growing up in that time, like in that time period. It's actually, and I hate to say it right now, if a movie were to be made about like the 1990s and early 2000s, it is so far away that it would actually be considered a period piece.
Yes,
the technology of our time is almost completely obsolete. How does that sound?
Yeah, it's true. It's absolutely true.
I mean, you have any idea what kind of look I got from the person at Target when I asked if they had a DVD, and VCR combo?
That was futuristic stuff right there back in the day.
Oh, laser discs.
Unfortunately, we can't make fun of vinyl anymore because it's a thing again.
Well, maybe Laserdisc will come back, and maybe VHS tapes will come back too. I mean, like, people, there are things like, VHS tapes, the nostalgia behind them being vintage is actually on the rise. Did you know that? Kids are discovering VHS tapes right now.
Yeah, because there's boxes of them in people's houses. But I said not too long ago, as a matter of fact, that you know Jacksonville. You know the 5 Points area.
Duval. Yeah.
I said to a friend, I would love to open up a video rental store in 5 Points.
See, I you know what? Kevin kind of crushed my dreams on that one when he was on our show. Remember, like, when I told him, like, my dream of owning a video rental store with VHS tapes, with DVDs, Blu-rays, arcade and screening rooms, and he just crushed my dreams. Like, but honestly, I think that's something that could be successful. Rent out VHS tapes and rent out VCRs too. I think you could actually bring some of that stuff like back on the rise just for, nostalgic reasons. Oh, I can't find.
I would definitely open up one of those places by the Capitol.
Yeah, well, I can't find a DVD or Blu-ray of that movie It's Alive. Oh, well, that's okay. We have it on VHS. Oh, do you? Well, we also have a VCR that you'd have. Like, if you don't have one yourself, we have a VCR that we can put on that we can rent out. Oh, you would like to play an old school Nintendo game? Well, we do have a Nintendo Entertainment System for rent. and instructions on how to get the goddamn game working. If it doesn't work, well, you have to blow it in the cartridge, get it like lined up just right.
Unfortunately, the gaming might be a little bit harder, especially because some of the prices on those games are crazy.
I know Nintendo stopped the whole Blockbuster renting out their games anyway. So
I might have a side hustle idea, but I'm not going to mention it on the air because that would be crazy.
Like I would be fine with like if what we're doing goes someplace and we actually make something of it, actually purchasing just for the use of filming and also for my own maybe run a business out of it. Think of like Games Galore in Jacksonville, like right there off of Beach and Hodges.
You're welcome.
I'm just saying. Shop Games Galore. Don't worry, Games Galore. You don't have to pay us money to advertise your business.
But forgive us, please.
It wasn't our choice not to film there, okay? We were ready. But the thing is that actually have like a VHS, rental place, much to the chagrin of like Blockbuster Video, Hollywood Video, there are independent VHS stores, video rental stores that maintain a level of success, like these little mom and pop hole in the wall, video rental places. There's one in Clovis, New Mexico. There's one up in, I believe, New York City that has remained very active, and even had like community support when they were shut down during the pandemic, to where they weren't really hurting because the community was still very faithfully making sure they stayed open. I mean, there is a nostalgia to going to a video rental store because they try to replace that with Redbox. Redbox, they completely eliminated any kind of
human element.
They got rid of the human element, but they also got rid of any kind of accountability for how the DVDs or Blu-rays at this point were returned to the location. Because just you get like a DVD and it's all scratched up and everything else. It looks like someone put it on the concrete and just stomped on it. But but these are all things we can talk about off the air.
Yes.
But yeah, no, I'd be very much back to the main point of the show. There are very, very, very wonderfully written things, TV shows, like coming-of-age shows. I would love to write a list, but you're going to have to wait about 30 days when I'm out of Facebook jail for me to do it. But I can do it on Instagram. So,
you know what? There is a website we can go to that we can actually do things like this. It's called... I don't remember what it's called, but it's called something.
Oh, well, something.com.
Yeah, I don't remember what it's called. Tier Maker?
I don't know.
Yes, Tier Maker. TIERMAKER.com. You can go there and make ranked lists and see other people's ranked lists. So maybe we should put together a WADcast official list of coming of age stories, like the top what? Top 10?
Yeah, I'm down for it.
And we can actually make that an episode where we have this discussion when all hands are on deck.
No, I'm very good with that.
Did we just pre-plan an episode for some point in the future?
Probably.
Wow. You heard it here first, everybody. We actually have a plan for an episode somewhere in the future. Just don't know when. Look at us getting responsible.
And you know what? I did want to say something because we never acknowledge this. But usually, this is a show owned and operated by, until recently, two men. Now, we have a third person now, but the WADcast, I would like to say, Josh, to you, happy belated anniversary.
Oh, happy anniversary, buddy.
Because our first podcast that we did on this show was on April 17th of last year. So I meant to address this in one of the last two shows, and it never got brought up. But again, this is two guys, and one thing guys are famous for is forgetting anniversaries. So
Yeah.
I just want to say, I'm sorry that I'm late, honey, but happy anniversary, babe. I love
You're
you.
sleeping on the couch.
Fine. The dog can have the bed.
April 17th. Remember what the first episode was called?
Oh God, what was it? It was Working in the Kinks.
Yes.
We still have plenty of kinks. And it is the infamous episode where I decided to use where I decided that I would use what I thought would be our sign off. And then I said it one time to end one episode. I'm like, you know what? I don't like it. Turns out, when you're joking off the air about blowing our wads in your ears, it's funny. When you say it to end the show, not so much. It really just I'm like, you know what? I actually feel really filthy right now.
And the feedback was not exactly.
No. That was a show that made Danielle decide that she never wanted to be part of the show.
Episode number one, and your girlfriend's like, I'm out.
Yeah, she's like, no offense, I love you, but if this were an actual broadcasted series, I would turn this off within 5 minutes. Like, oh, thank you.
And then we never went back.
Nope. And since then, we haven't stated the because I was using the F-bomb left and right, just like rapid fire, for the first couple for a while too, and I decided, you know what, I need to tone that down. Not to say I do it to be edgy, because that is how I talk.
Yes, it is.
The F-bombs. Oh yeah. Anyone that does not know me, I have the mouth of I have the mouth of a sailor who retired, got a job for a few years in construction, and then moved on to become a trucker. My mouth is not family friendly whatsoever. I'm pretty sure if I ever have a child, the F word may very well be the first word out of that child's mouth.
I'd put money on it.
Say daddy, say daddy, say daddy. Puck. No. Just keep that P there, though, okay? You little pucker. Go hang out with Grandma. My mom calling me 5 minutes there was like, why did my grandson look at something, or granddaughter look at something and say, oh, that's fucking awesome? I don't know. I think his mom has a really bad mouth.
I don't know. Was the thing really awesome?
What was my kid looking at? Was it a totally fucking awesome toy? Oh man. God, if I ever have a child, so help me.
So help us all.
I think I'd make a great dad. I just don't think I'd be great with dialing back the language. Because as you know, I actually struggle with it just for an hour on our show.
Yes, I do this.
And damn it, I try. I really try.
That's why we need a full-time producer to run the bleeps and the bloops when we decide to go full ham.
Oh, they'd quit.
I broke the button.
Abort! Abort! Abort!
Can't talk about that.
Oh, that's great.
But what we can talk about is where to find you on social media.
Oh, it is that time, is it? Well, I guess it is that time. We've been on here for 2 hours. Oh, wow. Holy shit. Well, boys and girls, thank you for tuning in on a very random, very, very not planned episode. But you can follow me. I would give you my Facebook this time around, but guess what? I can't post anything for 30 days, so probation. But the thing is you can follow us on Facebook, on facebook.com/the WADcast. Same with Instagram, instagram.com/the WADcast. You'll notice our pages, because it is a black picture with a white banner that says WADcast in it. So if you don't already follow us, follow us. Don't just listen to our show and not follow us. You follow us, damn it. We deserve it, we earned it, and we love you. You can also follow me on Instagram, bjacksman82. You'll know that is me because, there's a picture of me. Hell, it even says my name in it, Brandon Junk. Don't make fun. I did not choose that name. Mom and Dad chose the name. I choose a nursing home. But, Josh, what about you?
Well, the first thing I'm going to say is...
And I'm sorry. Good night, Mom. I'm joking about the nursing home. Go ahead, Josh.
The first thing I'm going to say is... if you go over to, and I've never done this before, so here we are. If you go over to patreon.com/Simicor, you can put some money on Brandon's post while he's in jail. Maybe we can give him some cigarettes.
Yeah, I need some commissary. Come
on. Sorry. I don't like to shill the Patreon. But this was, anyway, you can follow me on Twitter at SkidComic. You found out tonight that's the name I've been using since the 90s. 20 years plus strong as my handle in basically everything. If you see a Skid Comic somewhere, it's probably me. So, it's a household name.
Oh my god.
You can also follow me at WADcast Pod, because I'm the one that controls Twitter account. And guess what? It tweets out just as much as my Twitter does, which is not very often at all. Same with at Simicor Studios. Just follow it if you want. Why not? If you have Twitter, I'll follow you back. Shoot each other messages, talk about movies and stuff. Maybe reminisce about growing up in the 80s and 90s and what it was like, having a internet speed capable of looking at odd pictures of the internet for the first time. So keep all that in mind. Go to facebook.com/Simicor Studios. Find out everything that's been going on right here with Simicor Studios. There's a lot of stuff coming up on the way. Unfortunately, there are a few things that I had planned with certain people that... Who knew these weird, freaky names that I thought of for podcasts have already been taken? And now I have to start from square one, and then somebody else is doing another thing that I wanted to do, and I'm like, this sucks. So, more shows are coming. Just so you're aware, I do plan on bringing some stuff back for Simicor Studios. And, I think it said Letterboxd. I'm on Letterboxd. Just kidding, I'm there too. Surprise! If you want to find out what I'm watching, I'm keeping an updated list, public list, of all the movies that I've watched in the year 2021 so far. And I believe we're at 142. I want to say 142, but I am not 100% sure. So, no, it's 144. I was close. 144 movies I've watched this year. Go to Letterboxd, sign up. It's a social media for movie lovers, and I dig it. Brandon's on there too, but he doesn't, feel like doing anything on it.
That Letterboxd thing?
Yeah.
Buddy, I deleted that app in January, I think. January, February. I'm not, no. You have to go through everything and select every single thing that you watch. That's just too much for me.
That's what I love about it. I mean, not to go off on too much of a tangent, but it has my stats on there for movie watching. Right? I can tell you that I've watched 2,106 films. I've for 3,809 hours from 1,166 directors in 39 countries. My favorite movies, my favorite decade of movies seems to be from the 60s, mostly because I watched something from that long ago. I generally watched the good stuff from that long ago. From the time I was born, I've just seen a lot more movies, and I'm just going to go down some. I've seen 49% of the IMDb Top 250, 88% of the box office all-time 100. I've seen 20% of Edgar Wright's 1,000 favorite movies. Just a bunch of crazy nerdy stats about movies. We're not even getting paid to put this thing out, but I love it. So, yeah. Follow me there. Let's get going. We can have a lot of cool stuff happen, I guess. I don't know. It's late. I'm rambling, so I'm just going to, for the podcast listeners, start the music. Start the music. Okay, you start. Any final words, Brandon? You want to say good night?
Good night.
And I will say, remember, boys and girls, that the only distinction between your dream is you. You have the right, nay, the obligation to get on it, to follow through, to do things that you feel you need to do. If you've got a camera, if you've got a phone, make that movie. It doesn't have to be Scorsese. It's just a start. Learn composition. Learn what's a good performance. Learn these things and do it. That way, when you are looking back 20 years later, trying to figure out where that show about your childhood is, you'll be making it. So, from our WADcast family to yours, I wish you all a wonderful